Okay, so um, sales and service. Now, speaking from experience, it's hard to find people that are talented both in selling and in servicing. Tell us a little about that. That's kind of amazing in itself.
Well, it was amazing. I really had the edge over people because when I would go in to repair this typewriter, I would walk by three salesmen waiting to get in there, and I was able to, the machine wasn't any good. Obviously, I told them that, and I was able to repair it or trade it in. So I had a little bit of edge, and I knew that when I went in business.
So do you think do you ever remember times when salesmen would be waiting there to sell, you'd get there, walk in to service it, and then you'd leave, and then the guy would finally come out and have to tell him, well, I just bought a new typewriter?
Yeah. And when I would show up, they were so happy to see me because their machine was down. They couldn't get any work done. And they weren't glad to see these guys out here, that wanted to sell a machine. So I did have the advantage, and I certainly took advantage of that advantage.
I'm sure you did. What would be a 8 to 5, 7 to 6, whatever? What would be happening from start to finish on a typical Bob Roberson day?
A typical work day in the 50s and 60s would be, I'd get up at 6 o'clock. I would line up my day, load my car with machines that I had repaired the night before, and I would be at the customer's office at 8 o'clock. Many times I was there waiting for the customer because I knew I could fix that machine, and then I was at another place, and then maybe a call or two on the way. A typical work day was 10 hours plus. Many times it's 12, 14 hours, and sometimes even into the night, depending on how many typewriters I had. When I left Oklahoma Typewriter Company, I had a good relationship with those people. They were the largest typewriter company in the Southwest. And they were good friends of mine, and they would let me buy from their inventory. If I sold a Smith Corona typewriter, I'd go in there and they'd sell it to me, and I could go out and sell it, as long as it wasn't their customer. So I had that advantage, and I didn't have to stock a bunch. First of all, I didn't have the money, I didn't have the space, but I was able to sell off of their inventory, which made it pretty nice.
And how long did that last?
That lasted, probably into the early 60s, 62, 63.
And then did you start just having a relationship with the manufacturers where you would get them directly?
We did. I became a inland office machine dealer. And what that means is they were the distributor for IBM.
Okay, so working with Oklahoma Typewriter, you weren't working for them anymore in service, right?
No, I was not. Okay. Southwest Typewriter Service, that was it. And they knew what I was doing. But I was awfully careful. I mean, I appreciated what they were doing for me, so I really never called on any of their accounts. I had my own.
Okay, so then early 60s, things are obviously growing, and tell us about you wind up being your own dealership.
Inland office. Okay. Inland was a dealer for IBMs. IBM had started reconditioning typewriters. They reconditioned their Selectrics, their executives, and their regular electric typewriters, and which became a real great product for me. IBM was the top of the line then, and if I could take one of these reconditioned by IBM machine with a new machine warranty, it was a great sale for us.
So at that point, was Oklahoma Typewriter still around? Did you become a competitor of theirs, or were they? Because how long were they in business? They're not still around, are they?
Oh no, and they weren't really a competitor of mine back then because they were a dealer for Smith Corona, not only on their manual machines but their electrics, and they did not sell IBM typewriters. So that made it kind of nice. So I had my IBM typewriters plus whatever they had I could buy and sell from them.
Who are other employees that you recall from those early years that stand out, or were there any?
I did. I had one guy by the name of Darwin Smith. He was an IBM typewriter repairman, and very good repairman. He lived in Dallas. I would pay his way up here on weekends, and we would work all weekends. We'd work all day Saturday, and I took time to go to church, and after church I was back and repaired typewriter, and I would clean them while he fixed them, and that was I could have never made it without him.
So how long did that last, and whatever it became of Darwin?
That lasted into the 70s. And he got where he just didn't, it was pretty hard on him, but it wasn't near as hard on him as it was me, I mean, I had some kind of a life, not much of one, because working day and night,
Yeah. Tell us about, obviously the business kind of moved forward and grew in the 70s. Tell us about that and your entrance into the copier world.
Well, if you believe in luck, that's how we got in the copier business. At the time, as I said earlier, that our big product then was IBM Selectrics, and we only received so many. And I had, at the time, I had 3 salespeople. I had Shannon, I had Tom, and myself, and we could sell all we could get our hands on. So Dale's Business Machines in Norman, Oklahoma came up for sale. And he was a inland office dealer, and he had the Selectric typewriters. He wanted $250,000 for the business. We thought about it. We visited with our bankers, and we bought Dale's out.
And when was that?
That was in 1975. And by luck or whatever, we found out that we received the dealership for the Savin copier. We didn't know anything about copier business. And now, instead of our top product that we had, which was a $300 or $400 typewriter, we had a copier that sold for $7,500 with great margins, and that wasn't the end of it. We had service, we had supplies, and that's how we got in the copier business.
Was Dale's selling Savin at that point, or they just have the franchise for it?
Yes, they were. They weren't doing a great job, but they did. They did.
So how did you staff up? I mean, did they have service people that came along with it, or how did that?
Yes. When we bought Dale's out, for that $250,000, we received the building, which we're in now. The rest of it was inventory. And I think it was 4 or 5 people. 3 of them were technicians. And we got all of the maintenance contracts that they had previously been servicing, plus the Savin dealership, plus Selectric typewriters. And that saved us. I mean, that really made us what we are, helped us even.